Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Stephen Beck. I am your host of Perpetual News, and thank you for once again joining me. I'd briefly like to say thank you for all of the views and the comments on my last video. This is the most success I've had on this channel, so I really appreciate you guys coming and watching me talk about politics for 15 minutes, and I hope you had a good time watching the video, and I'm glad that so many people commented. So I really appreciate it. Thank you. So we're back, right? We're gonna talk more about this election since it's obviously what the people want. I first want to discuss some of these margins. Um, the big questions of the election are: hey, polls are coming out, Stephen. Why the hell is it showing that Trump is gonna do this overwhelming victory? It's gonna be huge. It's gonna be huge, as they say, And I just want to say a lot of stuff is fake, guys. I really appreciate that a lot of you were, on the opposite side. And thank you for watching the video. I really appreciate it. I am a left winger. I'll just be straight up honest about that. But that's okay. You're allowed, I'm glad that you're participating in democracy regardless of who you are, what you believe in, and so on and so forth. But I just want to talk about my own opinion on here, and I want to respond to some of these comments, and hopefully we can all come to some sort of agreement about how this election might pan out. So let's talk about 2020. That's our most recent election that's happened. A lot of the key factors of the 2020 election and the 2016 election are still the same thing that people are thinking about right now. You have the same demographics of people. You have the same swing states. You have the same voting districts. You have nearly the same delegate amounts. There was the 2020 census, which redistributed the delegates across the states. So a few things have changed, but it won't widely impact the election, not to my knowledge at least. So let's talk about these states, right? In my last prediction, I guessed that Kamala Harris would walk away with pretty much all of the same states that Joe Biden did, except for Georgia. I don't have Georgia on my bingo card, right? I don't think she has a chance there, right? She does. But to say that it's a large chance of her winning Georgia is a mistake. Now, do I think she can win it? Absolutely. But let's just take a peek. So as we look at Georgia, right, we get down to the basics of it. The margin was only 0.3%, which is not a lot of votes. It's only about 11.5 thousand votes, 11.5 thousand votes, basically. That's a thin margin to secure a victory. That's a very thin margin. Now, there, of course, are cases where that's, a way thinner margin is what secured the victory in a state like Florida in 2000. It was about 500 votes that won George W. Bush the election. Now, of course, you can go ahead and say the hanging chads, and all of that business. But if you want to get into that, that's not this channel. Look at, you can go watch. There's probably a Mr. Beat video on it or something. But we're here in 2024, and we got to decide, what do we think is going to happen here? Now, Biden won the state, right? He carried the state of Georgia. It was kind of a surprise to a lot of people. There was definitely people that were like, oh, Georgia could go blue. But it wasn't the vast majority of people, I don't think. Now, the margins here, right? What you want to look at are these big blue pockets. So you have Atlanta. Let's talk about Atlanta first because that's obviously the big one. Now, these surrounding counties weren't all that great for Biden, but he still won them, right? That's only 54, 58. It's not like he's winning huge margins in all of the things. But Fulton County, which is in DeKalb, these two, as well as Clayton, are overwhelmingly for Biden. Now, the Biden suburbs, that he carried, the Atlanta suburbs, not the Biden suburbs, the Atlanta suburbs are really important, right? Fayette is also still important despite going for Trump. He still gets those votes, right? He still gets those votes, and they count towards his victory there. Can Kamala pull off the same thing in Atlanta? Maybe, right? It's all up in the air. Now, when you get a new candidate in, you don't exactly know, right? You don't know what the voter base of this person is going to be, but it will probably be similar to Biden since she was his VP. Is she a more inspiring candidate than Joe Biden? I think so. I personally believe so. So could she win the state of Atlanta? Yes. Do I think she will? It's up in the air, but I don't think so. Virginia. A lot of people are talking about Virginia this election for some reason. Biden won it by over 10 percentage points, and I'm going to go ahead and say it right here. Whoever's telling you that Virginia is in play, whatever polls you're looking at, they're wrong. 10 percentage points don't just magically disappear over an election season, over 4 years, right? 4 years, 10 percentage points don't disappear. 500,000 people who voted for Biden are not going to flip to Trump. I'm going to tell you that right now. And I don't personally believe that Trump is going to gain in this election. He is shooting for the Democrats losing support, not him gaining more support, because his numbers are faltering a little bit. The core base of the Republican Party is not exactly behind Trump, right? They're, of course, now you could say that the MAGA part of the Republican Party is the largest, which I think it is, but the old school Republicans, even his own vice president, Mike Pence, have now come out and said, hey, I'm not voting for Trump. Most of his cabinet members, something like 30 cabinet members of his are like, no, I'm not voting for Trump. Trump's terrible. It's the same way that a lot of these old school Republicans feel. As for Pennsylvania, Joe Biden won the state by 2.2%. Now that's actually a pretty significant margin. That's nearly 120,000 people, roughly. Maybe like somewhere 119,000. Doesn't matter. I don't think Pennsylvania is going to go red this year. I don't think Trump can really make the Democrats lose, I said 2.2%. 1.2%. It's a fairly wide margin for a huge state like Pennsylvania. That's a lot of votes. Are 120,000 people who voted in 2020 not going to vote for Harris? It's possible. It's possible. It's in play. I'm not saying it's not in play. I'm just looking at the statistics here. Do they lose 1.2%? I don't know. I don't think they do, but I could be wrong. Michigan, even further of a margin. I don't think Trump carries Michigan this election, regardless of what polling data might say. And we'll get to some of that later. I just want to clarify that. The same thing, Wisconsin is a way more likely state that Trump could get. 0.4% is not, it's 0.8%. No, 0.6%. I just did a bunch of fucked up math there. Anyway, it's 20,000 votes. Way more likely that Trump could come back and win Wisconsin. Do 20,000 Biden voters in Wisconsin not want to vote for Harris? Probably, right? Maybe even. Now, places like Madison and Milwaukee, that's going to be where a lot of these rallies are held. A lot of these people are going to get inspired here. I assume Trump is going to hold some of his rallies up in these rural counties and try to persuade some voters that way. But let's see how Arizona shakes out. 0.4% again. Nevada is a little bit different. It was a pretty significant margin despite the numbers actually not being so big. Nevada's just not a very big state. But Arizona definitely could go different. But, that's up to the Harris campaign on who they choose for VP. If it's Mark Kelly, I don't see Arizona going red. I'll just say that. So we will see. But overall, I think the map is going to pan out pretty similar to this one. That's just my own prediction. So if you think differently, no worries. But let's go ahead and take a peek as a group here and see what kind of campaign that each of these people are running here. I just want to make sure that I have what's going on. Yeah, let's take a peek at this. Okay, so this this is how the Kamala Harris campaign is being run so far, which is persuading a lot of people to join her side, right? Trump says he's backing out of the debates. What happened to anytime, any place? That's what he said previously to a debate against Kamala. Anytime, any place. But now he's seemingly backed out. Let's watch this video. I think this video is actually, this type of thing is what's going to win her these elections, right? Because this was hilarious when I came across this.
And then their campaign says, I'm the prosecutor, and he is the convicted felon.
I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
Yeah.
And then their campaign
So, things like that. This is how you win an election right here, and especially how you inspire some Gen Z voters. Now, is this going to be a huge electoral bump? No, but it's the right choice for her campaign to take this sort of sassy, hey, Donald Trump, you're a dumbass approach to this election. Now, if you think that he's the greatest guy in the world, go ahead and comment. I'm not going to forbid anybody from watching me. I'm so glad that you're here. But, you know, from a left-wing perspective, this is the kind of thing that wins an election. You know, I'm not talking about politics in the way that, you know, a professor would, policy-wise. I agree that policy is the most important thing, but not an election for, you know, unfortunate reasons that the general public doesn't necessarily like that too much. Now, let's see here. Set that over there. Okay, so let's talk about this. Pennsylvania here. This is some new Emerson polling data that came out, you know, and these are new polls, right? And these don't look great for Harris. And that's fine. There's, you know, a lot of discrepancies. There's a lot of things to talk about here, really. So let's talk about Pennsylvania first. +2 for Trump, definitely within the margin of error, right? You know, it's usually about 1 to 2 percentage points. Michigan, also +2. Wisconsin, +2. Georgia, +2. Arizona, +6. For some reason, this poll seems a little bit weird because you would figure that Arizona would be a little bit closer than that on this sort of thing. But perhaps it's not. I could be wrong about that too. Now, let's move over to this. So here's another poll. You have a different sort of thing going on. Wisconsin, Harris, Trump, 47% each with leaners. Harris gets +2, you know, and then you add Kennedy and Stein, 45-45. So, is it going to happen? I don't know. It's kind of weird with this, you know, these polls versus, you know, this is the same poll that's going on, but specifically Wisconsin, for some reason, is further to the left, which, as I've just shown you on that map, doesn't make exact sense. Because Wisconsin went by a smaller margin to Joe Biden than Michigan or Pennsylvania, or even, you know, Nevada. So there's that for you. I mean, who's to say this, you know, poll is accurate in that way? Let's look at this one. This is another poll. I like political polls. This Twitter account, they're very cool. They upload a lot of polls and all sorts of things. Democratic-controlled polls, Republican-controlled polls, and you know they get a lot of flack on Twitter, but I actually really enjoy their content. So this one shows Harris with +1 in Michigan. Once again, way within the margin of error, right? All of these polls are within the margin of error. So to say scientifically that we know one of them is going to win is just, it's a stupid statement, right? I'm making these predictions because of trends, because of the way that I think that hype is going. I think the Trump campaign has lost a lot of hype, especially since Kamala entered the race instead of Joe Biden. Now, is it going to work out that way? I don't know. Is it going to work out this way? I don't know. The real things that you got to think about are political trends. Is are these people really going to lose this many percentage points over 4 years? Maybe. Are people going to make up this, map and think that, wow, does Harris really carry the same support that Joe Biden did in 2020? Is she going to get 81 million votes? Is Trump going to get 74 million votes? Who knows? So that all goes to show that, election predictions are not an exact science. I am just making predictions. It doesn't mean they're going to come true. But I'm glad that everybody was able to watch my last upload. And, I hope that all of you comment, and I also hope that all of you go out and vote. Voting is very important in this election especially. There's a lot of stuff going on in our politics that obviously needs to be changed, and I think everybody agrees with that. So thank you for watching once again. I really appreciate that. Now, has my opinion changed from yesterday? No, it hasn't. And has my opinion, has some of my facts that I've thought of come true? Yes, actually. Since yesterday, the Obamas have endorsed Kamala Harris, leading her to basically entirely secure the Democratic Party. Obama is considered to be, somewhat of the outside of the political world DNC leader. So, thank you all for watching once again. Please go down and comment and subscribe and share the video. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you once again for watching. Now, my prediction hasn't changed, right? It's only been a day, so go and watch the other video if you'd like. And once again, thank you for watching. Hit the subscribe button below, and I will see you next time. Thank you.